Grand Theft Starship by Jansen Davies. Chapter 1. The Losers. Randy Grimes had a talent for bad ideas. He wore them like medals, each failure etched into the lines of his face. His latest scheme had ended with him being chased out of a gambling den by 3 bounty hunters and a very angry cyborg pit boss. Beside him, Halfwit, Harlan shuffled through the neon-lit alleys of Port Helix, clutching a half-empty bottle of synth ale like it was treasure. Together, they were the kind of men who could lose a fortune in a rigged dice game and still argue about who cheated them. Port Helix was a city that never slept, an orbital bazaar suspended above a dying planet, its docks stacked with freighters, smugglers, and mercenaries. The air reeked of blood and desperation. Randy and Howard belonged here, drifting from one scam to the next, always broke, always hungry, always dreaming of the big score that would never come. That night, the big score found them. Dock 47 was quiet, graveyard quiet. Cargo haulers had long since departed, and the neon signs flickered like dying stars. And there, nestled between rusted freighters and battered shuttles, was a ship unlike any they had ever seen, sleek, black, alive. Its hull shimmered with a strange iridescence, as though it were breathing. Randy stopped dead. "Howard," he whispered, "you see that?" Howard squinted, burped, and grinned. "Looks abandoned." "Looks expensive," Randy corrected, his eyes gleaming. The ship hummed faintly, a low vibration that seemed to crawl into their bones. No guards, no crew, no docking clamps, just waiting, almost daring them to come closer. Randy's pulse quickened. He had stolen plenty of things in his life, credits, cargo, even a governor's pet once, but never a starship. This was madness. This was destiny. "Think of it," Randy said, voice trembling with excitement. "We take it. We're legends. No more gutter dives, no more scraps. We'll own the stars." Howard laughed, a wheezing sound that echoed in the empty dock. "You're drunk." "So are you." They stared at the vessel, 2 losers on the edge of greatness or disaster. The ship seemed to stare back, its surface rippling like the hide of some great beast. Randy stepped forward, the ramp lowered with a hiss, unbidden, as if the ship itself had invited them in. Howard hesitated. "Ships don't just do that." Randy grinned. "This one does." And with that, the 2 men crossed the threshold, unaware that they had just stolen the most dangerous starship in the galaxy. Unaware that its true owner, an apex predator named Karlithia, had already felt the theft like a fang ripped from her jaw. The hunt had begun. Chapter 2. The Joyride begins. The ship's interior was unlike anything Randy or Howard had ever seen. It wasn't metal so much as muscle, a living corridor that pulsed faintly with light. The walls shimmered with veins of energy, and the air carried a low hum, like the growl of a wild beast waiting to strike. Randy ran his hand along the surface. It was warm, alive. "Feels like skin," he muttered. Howard recoiled. "Ships don't have skin, Randy. Ships have panels, bolts, rust. This thing's wrong." But Randy's eyes gleamed with the fever of opportunity. Wrong means valuable. Wrong means rare. Wrong means we're about to be rich. They stumbled into the cockpit, a chamber that resembled the ribcage of some colossal beast. The controls weren't buttons or levers, but strands of light that responded to touch. Randy reached out, and the ship shivered. The engines roared awake, a sound that shook Dock 47 to its foundations. "See?" Randy grinned. "She wants us to own her." Howard clutched the seat, knuckles white. "She wants to eat us." The ramp sealed shut, the docking clamps released. And before either of them could second-guess, the vessel surged forward, tearing free of Port Helix like a lion leaping from its lair. The stars opened before them, a vast ocean of glittering fire. Randy howled with laughter, drunk on speed and freedom. Howard screamed, drunk on terror. They cut across the trade lanes, weaving between freighters and patrol cruisers. Alarms blared across the comm channels as Randy pushed the ship harder, faster, reveling in the chaos. "Randy, you're gonna kill us!" Howard shouted. "Correction," Randy said, grinning like a madman. "I'm gonna make us legends." The ship responded to his every whim, darting through asteroid fields, skimming planetary atmospheres, broadcasting their drunken laughter across open frequencies. They hacked into billboards on Targus Prime, projecting obscene graffiti that danced across the skyline. They dumped cargo pods into orbit around Terra Station, creating a meteor shower of stolen luxury goods. Everywhere they went, panic followed. The galaxy thought terrorists had hijacked a warship. Randy and Howard thought they were gods. But the ship was not theirs. Deep within its core, something stirred, a hunger, a memory, a bond to its true master. The vessel tolerated the thieves, but it did not serve them. It was waiting. And far across the stars, Karlithia felt the theft like a wound. The apex predator of the Vaer Dominion rose from her throne of bones, her eyes burning with fury. Her ship had been taken. Her prey had revealed themselves. She whispered into the void, her voice a promise of blood. "Run, little thieves. Run as far as you can. I will find you, and when I do, your screams will echo across the galaxy." Randy and Howard laughed in their stolen cockpit, oblivious to the shadow that had begun to hunt them. The joyride had begun. Chapter 3. The Predator's Claim. Far across the galaxy, on a moon carved into a fortress of bone and steel, Karlithia stirred. She was no mere warlord. Karlithia was the apex predator of the Vaer Dominion, a creature bred in the crucible of extinction. Her kind had survived by becoming hunters beyond compare, silent, merciless, patient. Her starship was not a machine, but a living extension of her will, a beast forged from alien flesh and bound to her through blood rights older than empires. When the thieves touched it, she felt the violation instantly. It was as though a child had been ripped from arms, a piece of her soul torn away. The ship's pulse faltered, its hunger redirected. Across the void, Karlithia's eyes snapped open, burning with fury. She rose from her throne, towering and lithe, her body armored in scales that shimmered like obsidian. Her claws flexed, dripping with venom. Around her, attendants cowered, sensing the storm that was about to break. "They have taken my vessel," she hissed, her voice echoing through the chamber. "Two vermin, two prey who mistake themselves for predators." The attendants bowed low, trembling. None dared speak. Karlithia closed her eyes, reaching across the stars. The bond between hunter and ship was absolute. She could feel its path, every reckless maneuver, every insult it broadcast into the void. The thieves were loud, clumsy, arrogant. They thought themselves untouchable. Her lips curled into a smile, a predator's smile. "Good," she whispered. "Let them run. Let them spread chaos. The chase before the kill is the sweetest part." She summoned her war council, a circle of killers and strategists. Maps flickered to life, star systems glowing red where the thieves had already left their mark. Panic spread across the galaxy. Governments scrambled to respond. Patrol fleets mobilized. But Karlithia knew the truth. None of them mattered. Only the hunt mattered. "They will think the galaxy hunts them," she said, her voice low and dangerous. "But it is I, only I, and when I catch them, their screams will echo across eternity." Her council bowed, terrified. Karlithia turned away, her claws tracing the air, as though carving the thieves' fate into the void itself. She would not kill them quickly. No, their deaths would be art, their terror would be legend. Meanwhile, Randy and Howard were oblivious. They laughed in their stolen cockpit, drunk on speed and chaos, unaware that every stunt, every broadcast, every reckless act was a beacon guiding Karlithia closer. The Predator had claimed them with her mark. The hunt had begun. Chapter 4: Chaos Across the Galaxy. The stolen Starship tore through the void like a predator unleashed, its black hull shimmering with alien hunger. Randy and Howard were drunk on power, drunk on speed, drunk on the sheer absurdity of their theft. Every system they passed became a playground, every authority a target for mockery. On Targus Prime, they hacked into the planetary broadcast grid. The solemn faces of diplomats negotiating a fragile peace treaty were suddenly replaced by holograms of dancing llamas gyrating across the skyline in neon colors. The summit collapsed into chaos, accusations flying, alliances fracturing. Randy nearly fell out of his chair, laughing. On Terra Station, they dumped cargo pods into orbit, stolen luxury goods, crates of rare spices, even a shipment of ceremonial robes. The pods burned through the atmosphere, creating a meteor shower of silk and jewels. Citizens scrambled to snatch treasures from the sky, while the station's security forces screamed into comms, powerless to stop the rain of contraband. On Kryn Delta, they discovered the ship's weapon systems, living cannons that pulsed with energy like beating hearts. Randy pressed the wrong strand of light, and a pirate fleet vanished in a single blast of incandescent fury. The galaxy thought a military superweapon had been unleashed. Randy thought it was hilarious. Howard vomited into a bucket. Everywhere they went, panic followed. Governments scrambled fleets. Merchants cursed their names. Children whispered about the predator ghost ship of chaos. Randy and Howard thought themselves legends. The galaxy thought them monsters. But the ship was not theirs. Deep within its core, it pulsed with hunger. It tolerated their antics, but it did not serve them. It was waiting. And Karlithia was closing in. Across the Dominion, whispers spread. Patrol cruisers reported sightings of a phantom vessel. Smugglers spoke of a black ship that moved like a beast. Refugees swore they had seen its shadow blot out the stars. Meanwhile, Randy and Howard celebrated their infamy. Chapter 5: The Hunt Begins. The galaxy was vast, but Karlithia's rage was larger. She moved like a shadow through the star lanes, her senses bound to the living core of her stolen vessel. Every reckless stunt Randy and Howard pulled sent ripples through the bond, like sparks across a predator's nerves. She could feel their laughter, their arrogance, their ignorance. Each act of chaos was a beacon, guiding her closer. On Zerath's belt, she found the wreckage of the pirate fleet the thieves had accidentally annihilated. The survivors whispered of a black ship that struck without warning, then vanished into the void. Karlithia silenced them with claws and fire, leaving no witnesses. On Orion's verge, a patrol cruiser dared to pursue the phantom vessel. Karlithia intercepted it, tearing through its hull with her living blades. The crew screamed into the comms, begging for aid, but their signals died in static. Karlithia left their corpses drifting in orbit, a warning to all who thought to interfere. Her legend grew darker. The galaxy whispered of a hunter who would not be denied. Meanwhile, Randy and Howard were oblivious. Randy bragged about selling the ship for a fortune. Howard dreamed of buying a moon and naming it after himself. But cracks were forming. The vessel's walls pulsed like veins. Its engines growled like a beast. Sometimes, in the silence between stars, they swore they heard it breathing. Randy dismissed it as imagination. Howard wasn't so sure. "Randy," he whispered one night, staring at the living walls, I think the ship's alive. Randy grinned, raising his glass. Then it's the best friend we've ever had. Neither realized the truth. The ship was alive, but it was not their friend. It was Karlithia's, and it was leading them straight into her claws. Karlithia whispered into the void, her voice a promise of blood. Run, little prey. Run as far as you can. The chase is the sweetest part. The hunt had begun. Chapter 6. Cracks in the Joyride. The laughter was fading. Randy still tried to keep the mood alive, pouring stolen champagne into dented tin cups. But Howard couldn't shake the feeling that the ship was watching them. The walls pulsed faintly, veins of light crawling like phosphorescent worms. The air was thick, humid, as though they were inside the lungs of some colossal beast. Randy, Howard whispered, staring at the cockpit's rib-like arches. This isn't a ship. It's something else. Randy waved him off. It's exotic tech. Bioengineering. Rich people stuff. Don't think too hard. But Howard did think. He thought about the way the controls weren't buttons but strands of light that twitched when touched. He thought about the way the engines growled like a caged predator. He thought about the ramp lowering on its own, as if the ship had chosen them. And then he heard it. Breathing. Not the hum of engines, not the hiss of vents. Breathing. Slow, deliberate, predatory. That night, Howard woke to find the walls moving. The corridors shifted, narrowing, closing in. He stumbled through the ship, drunk and terrified, until he reached the cargo bay. The floor rippled beneath his feet, a living membrane that pulsed with hunger. He screamed for Randy. Randy arrived, annoyed, bottle in hand. What now? Look! Howard pointed at the floor, but the ripples were gone. The bay was still, silent, metallic. You're seeing things, Randy muttered. Too much synthale. But Howard knew what he had seen. The ship was alive, and it was hungry. The next day, the ship betrayed them. They tried to dock at Elysium 9, hoping to sell the vessel, but the controls locked, refusing to respond. The ship surged forward on its own, engines snarling, dragging them past the docking clamps and into the void. Randy slammed his fists against the strands of light. I'm the pilot! Obey me! The ship growled, a sound that rattled their bones. Howard whispered, trembling, It doesn't obey us. It obeys her. Far across the stars, Karlithia smiled. She felt the ship's hunger, its defiance, its bond to her. The thieves were beginning to understand. Fear was blooming. She whispered into the void, Good. Let them taste the truth. Let them know they are prey. That night, Howard dreamed of teeth. The ship's corridors became jaws, closing around him, dripping with venom. He woke screaming, sweat soaking his clothes. Randy laughed, but his laughter was hollow. The joyride was cracking. The ship was no longer their toy. It was their cage. And somewhere in the darkness, Karlithia was coming. Chapter 7. Predator's Shadow. The galaxy was no longer laughing. Newsfeeds screamed of the phantom vessel that had torn through trade lanes, toppled summits, and annihilated fleets. Governments scrambled to explain the chaos, but whispers spread faster than official reports. Some said the ship was a rogue Dominion weapon. Others claimed it was cursed, a ghost vessel piloted by the damned. Randy and Howard reveled in the infamy. They toasted their newfound notoriety, imagining themselves as legends. But the ship's corridors told a different story. The walls pulsed like veins. The air grew thicker, heavier, as though the vessel itself was suffocating them. Shadows stretched unnaturally long, bending across the ribbed cockpit like claws. Howard swore he saw eyes in the dark, slits of burning gold that vanished when he blinked. Randy, he whispered, trembling, we're being watched. Randy laughed, but his voice cracked. By who? The galaxy. Let them watch. We're untouchable. But he didn't believe it. Not anymore. Far across the stars, Karlithia closed in. She moved silently, her presence felt in the void like a storm building on the horizon. The bond between predator and ship grew stronger with every passing hour. She could taste their fear, smell their sweat, hear their laughter curdle into silence. On Elysium 9, she slaughtered a broker who had dared to negotiate with the thieves. On Draconis Reach, she left a trail of gutted mercenaries who had glimpsed the phantom vessel. Each kill was precise, ritualistic, a message carved into flesh. The prey is mine. Her legend grew darker. The galaxy whispered of a hunter who stalked the thieves, a shadow that devoured all who crossed her path. Inside the ship, the cracks widened. Howard woke to find the corridors shifting again, narrowing into jaws. He stumbled through the vessel, hearing whispers in a language he didn't understand. The ship was speaking, but not to him. It was speaking to her. He collapsed in the cockpit, pale and shaking. Randy, it's alive. It's hers. We're not flying it. It's flying us. Randy tried to laugh, but the sound died in his throat. He looked at the strands of light that formed the controls, twitching like tendons. He touched them, and for the first time, they recoiled. The ship didn't want him anymore. Karlithia whispered into the void, her voice a blade. Run, little prey. Run until the stars burn out. I will find you, and when I do, your screams will echo across eternity. The predator's shadow had fallen. Chapter 8. The Trap. Elysium 9 was supposed to be their salvation. The planet was a sprawling marketplace of shadows, a haven for smugglers, pirates, and black market brokers. If anywhere would buy a stolen starship, it was here. Randy strutted down the docking ramp with the swagger of a man about to cash in on destiny. Howard followed, pale and jittery, clutching his jacket as though it might shield him from the stairs. The bazaar was alive with noise, hawkers shouting prices, mercenaries sharpening blades, gamblers screaming at dice. But when Randy and Howard mentioned the ship, the noise died. A broker spat on the ground. That vessel belongs to Karlithia. Another backed away, muttering prayers. A third laughed bitterly. Sell it? You fools. Touching it is a death sentence. Randy forced a grin. Death sentence? Please, we've been joyriding for weeks. Nobody's stopped us. The broker leaned in, eyes wide with fear. Nobody dares. She's hunting you. Every system you touch, she follows. Every deal you try to make, she ruins. She'll flay you alive and wear your skulls as trophies. Howard swallowed hard. Maybe we should give it back. Randy shoved him. Give it back? To who? She's not here. But even as he spoke, the crowd was dispersing. Merchants closed stalls. Guards melted into shadows. The bazaar emptied like prey sensing a predator. Back aboard the ship, Howard trembled. They know her name, Randy. Everyone knows. We're not legends. We're bait. Randy paced the cockpit, trying to drown his fear in bravado. So what? Let her come. We'll outrun her. We'll outsmart her. We've made it this far. But the ship growled, low and guttural, as though mocking him. The strands of light twitched beneath his fingers, refusing to obey. Howard whispered, It's not ours. It never was. Far across the stars, Karlithia smiled. She had felt their desperation, their attempt to sell what was hers. The bond between predator and ship pulsed stronger than ever. She was close now, so close she could taste their fear. Her claws traced the air, carving their fate into the void. Run again, she whispered. Run until the stars burn out. I will find you. And when I do, your blood will paint the galaxy." The bizarre silence lingered in Randy's mind. The empty stalls, the fearful eyes, the whispered name. Karlithia. For the first time, Randy wondered if they weren't thieves at all. Maybe they were prey. And the trap was already closing. Chapter 9. Blood Vengeance. The bizarre silence had been a warning. The ship's growls had been another. But Randy and Howard ignored them, clinging to bravado like drowning men clutching driftwood. They didn't realize Karlithia was already here. She descended upon Elysium 9 like a storm of knives. The sky split with fire as her personal hunter's craft tore through the atmosphere, landing with a shriek of metal and bone. The ground trembled, the air thickened, and then she emerged, tall, lithe, armored in obsidian scales that shimmered like liquid night. The crowd scattered, merchants fled, guards dropped their weapons and prayed. Karlithia walked through the bazaar with the calm of inevitability. Her claws traced the air, her eyes burning gold. She did not rush. Predators never rush. Randy and Howard saw her from the cockpit. "What the hell is that?" Randy whispered, his bravado cracking. Howard's voice was a tremor. "That's her. That's Karlithia." The ship shivered, walls pulsing with hunger. It recognized its master. Karlithia did not storm the vessel. She did not strike. Instead, she circled it, slow and deliberate, like a predator stalking prey. Her claws scraped the hull, sending vibrations through the corridors. Randy and Howard clutched their seats, trembling. Then her voice filled the ship, not through comms, not through speakers, but through the living walls themselves. "You thought yourselves legends," she whispered, her tone almost playful. "You thought the galaxy feared you. But the galaxy fears me. And now, you are mine." Randy tried to shout back, but the words died in his throat. Howard sobbed quietly, clutching his jacket. Karlithia pressed her claws against the hull. The ship responded, opening its corridors like veins, exposing the thieves to her gaze. She could have killed them then, torn them apart with a thought. But she didn't. Predators savor the chase. She smiled, a predator's smile. "Run again. Flee into the stars. I will hunt you forever. Every world you touch, I will be there. Every shadow you hide in, I will find you. Your screams will echo across time without end." The ship pulsed, sealing the ramp shut, forcing Randy and Howard back into the cockpit. The engines roared to life, dragging them into the void. Karlithia watched them flee, her claws dripping with venom, her eyes burning with hunger. She whispered into the night, "The chase is the sweetest part." Randy and Howard fled into the stars, broken but alive. They thought they had escaped, but Karlithia was playing with them, and the game had only just begun. Chapter 10. Mercy or Death. The stolen starship screamed through the void, its engines snarling like a beast in pain. Randy clung to the controls, sweat dripping down his forehead, while Howard muttered prayers under his breath. They had fled Elysium 9, but the silence of the bazaar still haunted them. Everyone had known Karlithia's name. Everyone had feared her. Now, Randy and Howard feared her too. The ship betrayed them again. They tried to set a course for Draconis Reach, hoping to disappear among smugglers. But the vessel locked its trajectory, dragging them instead toward a dead system, a graveyard of shattered moons and drifting wreckage. "Randy," Howard whispered, trembling, "we're not flying it. It's flying us." The ship growled, low and guttural, mocking him. Karlithia was waiting. She emerged from the wreckage like a phantom, her hunter's craft cloaked in shadow. The moment the thieves entered the system, she was there, circling, silent, savoring. Her voice filled the stolen vessel, not through comms, but through the living walls themselves. "You've run far," she whispered, her tone almost gentle. "You've spread chaos. You've made the galaxy tremble. But you are not predators. You are prey. Howard sobbed, clutching his jacket. She's here. She's inside the ship. Randy tried to laugh, but the sound was hollow. We'll fight her. We'll... The ship cut him off, sealing the cockpit doors, trapping them inside. Karlithia did not strike. Not yet. She circled them like a predator, savoring the chase. Her claws scraped the hull, sending vibrations through the corridors. The ship shivered, walls pulsing with hunger. You beg for mercy, she whispered, but mercy is not in my nature. Death is. And yet... Her voice lingered, playful, cruel. Perhaps I will let you run again. Perhaps I will hunt you until you die of old age. Every world you touch, I will be there. Every shadow you hide in, I will find you. Your tears will fill oceans. Randy collapsed in his seat, broken. Howard sobbed quietly, trembling. The ship roared, engines igniting, dragging them once more into the void. Karlithia watched them flee, her claws dripping with venom, her eyes burning gold. She smiled, a predator's smile. The chase was not over. It had only just begun. Epilogue. The endless chase. The galaxy never forgot. Whispers of the phantom vessels spread across trade lanes and war councils, across smuggler dens and refugee camps. Children told stories of two fools who stole a predator's ship, of chaos that reigned across worlds, of laughter that curdled into screams. Randy and Howard fled into the stars, broken but alive. Their bravado was gone, replaced by hollow eyes and trembling hands. Every system they entered, they found silence. Merchants turned away. Governments locked their gates. Even criminals refused to deal with them. They were not legends. They were bait. And always Karlithia followed. Her shadow stretched across the galaxy, her claws carving fear into every world they touched. She did not strike quickly. She did not kill. She hunted. She savored. She played. Each escape was permitted, each reprieve deliberate. The chase was her art, their terror her canvas. Randy dreamed of freedom. Howard dreamed of mercy. But the ship betrayed them at every turn, dragging them into Karlithia's claws, binding them to her hunger. They were not pilots. They were passengers in a predator's game. The galaxy whispered of Karlithia's vow, "Run until the stars burn out. I will find you, and when I do, your screams will echo across eternity." And so they ran, through shattered moons and burning suns, through war zones and dead systems, through silence and chaos. They ran, and she followed. The legend of Grand Theft Starship was not a tale of triumph. It was a tale of prey. Two losers who thought themselves gods, one predator who reminded them of the truth. The chase would never end. The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.